Yes. Hi, Ryan. Thank you so much for
Hey,
having us.
oh, of course.
Hello.
So I'm here with Dr. Nicole B. Simpson and Sonji K. Grandy. How are you guys doing today?
Okay, I'm good. You good, sis?
I'm good. We're better than good. Thank you so much, Ryan, for having us. I see that you go with heavy hitters, so we're just glad to be here today and so appreciative that you want to learn a little bit about us.
You guys are definitely heavy hitters. You're the author of a new book entitled Out of the Woods. Can you talk about that book?
So, Sanju, you want me to go first?
Go ahead. You good. You
Yeah,
big sis. I'll let you start.
Okay, so Out of the Woods is really our. But first of all, let me just break news here. We actually just won second place for the book fest for this particular
congratulations.
book. Thank you. And it's a story about our resilience. We've grown up in a childhood of trauma and challenging circumstances, much like other individuals that have endured just culturally and family drama. We were successful, but the one thing that we had, even in the midst of all of our calamity, was one, our education, and two, we had each other, and that's important. We grew up in a family of four daughters, between my mother and my stepfather. And education was very important to us, and then both of us got into our separate industries. She's in insurance, I'm in finances, and we had this 30-year journey of clawing and just being black women and trying to figure things out overall, and still finding a level of success when others didn't want us to be successful. And so about a year ago, we began to present a few times together as we do a lot of charitable works and financial literacy. And as we began to present it, one of the things that happened is we had an aha moment when we were in Tennessee, and it was like, hey, you went through that at your job. And it was something that we talk all the time, but we never talked about. And so Out of the Woods was birthed out of that to really help other individuals eliminate and avoid some of the challenges, learn from our mistakes, but to also encourage people to pursue, being the best in their class and or field. We did it 30 years, of being in our respective industries and just winning at every level. So I'll stop there, Sonia. You can finish up whatever I didn't say.
Yeah, so I want to give a little bit more context, a little bit more meat to that. In our respective personal ways, she's a coach, I'm a mentor. And so it was just kind of ironic that in our daily sisterhood, we'd never really talked about the struggles that we had in our workplace. And she's an entrepreneur. I worked in corporate America for many years, and we went through some stuff. We went through some stuff trying to get to the very top because, as she said, we were very well educated. We both were prototypes, if you will, in the education system growing up, which we talked about in our book, being part of magnet programs and things like that, that they crafted around the fact that we were smart black kids, from the hood, if you will. And the fact that we did not speak to each other in all of our conversations over the years, and we talk, oh, 3, 4, 5 times minimally every day was just, and maybe because as sisters, and I'm just going to be honest, well, by the time we get on the phone, the last thing we really want to talk about is work, right? And so we're the type to help everybody else avoid the pitfalls of what it is that we've gone through, but we've never encouraged each other, which was strange. And so last year we were at a conference that she was headlining. And so she called upon me to come and kind of fill in the blanks for her so she can catch a breather. And during the piece where I was talking, it was just really like, wait a minute, how did we not see this for ourselves? And so that is truly where it came from, because we have such, as sisters and just genetic, parallel lives. And if we've had it, obviously it's so widespread. So we took pen to paper and voila, Out of the Woods
It
was
came out
born.
of the woods.
What would you say were some of the biggest obstacles you faced, pursuing a professional career, specifically being from Jersey City and, even on the trail of like academia, like, did you find like, it kind of like, because I feel like being African American, like, some of us are like, first or maybe second generation of people who go to college. We don't necessarily get that guidance of like, pursuing higher education.
So I think one of the things for me is that by vocation, in addition to being in the investment or the securities industry, which is foreign to our culture, period. In 1991, when I got into the industry, I had a one mentor who said, "Get your Series 7." And so when you think about that, that was in 1992. But I worked on 625 Madison Avenue in New York City. So I was one of very few people that looked like me in the industry in my office overall. And so it felt as if every step of the way, the first obstacle that I had was in acquiring my Series 7. They didn't want me to get it because I was in operations at the time. And I really had to present to the management at that time, listen, if I fail, because it was an examination that you needed to have sponsorship for, if I fail, I'll pay it back. And I was a young single mother at that time, not really financially positioned to do it. And they basically said, don't worry about it, that end is going to fail. But because I held a position that, was deemed, this is a long time ago, y'all, I'm dating myself, a wire operator, it's like those are things that if there's an error, you really wanted someone registered, and the primary person doing that was not interested in pursuing it. So that's how I got my chance. But every step of the way, and I passed on the first time. You know why? Because when you talk about not having influences, if I would not have passed, I would not have been able to pave the way for anybody else. And I recognize those things. And so I studied for 8 months. I passed it the first time around. And while they said that end is not going to pass, I proved them wrong. And every since then, I went and I acquired along the way. And I still had challenges because I would be the only person. I think the next biggest issue for me was when I acquired my CFP designation, and I got that in the year of 2000. And the reason why this is so important is because many people are familiar with CFP practitioners now. They've got this huge campaign to let people know. But when I entered into the CFP niche market, there weren't that many minorities. There weren't that many minorities. So one of the things is it's less than 1% are African Americans. 20 plus years later, it's 1.9%. And we statistically will compare that by combining minorities, African Americans, and the Hispanic culture. So it has not grown at all. And so when you've got to be the first, you've got to not only be the trailblazer, you got to figure it out. And then you've got to overcome the fact that other individuals don't want you in the places and spaces that you find yourself in. And so I've had the struggle. Sanji's story is different. That's the other thing. I have a big mouth. And Sanji probably gets along with everybody much, much more than I do.
Because I worked in corporate in a different way. And so my story, yes, it's slightly different. Not exactly. I still had struggles and challenges because I too was different than everybody else in the room 99.9% of the time. I worked in insurance, and I started out in middle market insurance, which was your basic Allstate, State Farm, regular corner store insurance agency. But what I didn't do was I didn't stay there. I moved on to the high net worth area, which is where you have your brokerage houses and you have your 1% of the world. That was a space where you didn't see people that looked like me. And so I very quickly became a proven metric that I found a formula to save money and give practicality to understanding why we had to have certain things a certain way. And when I started to prove that there was a actual formula, which I talk about in the book, they started to look at the numbers and look at the book and say, okay, this young lady is on to something. So much so that I did talk about in the book a certain encounter that when a client came into the office, he was looking for a white woman. He could not believe that someone that looked like me could actually tell him how his money was being saved and how his assets were being protected in a way, because it just was unfathomable that somebody that looked like me, that was young like me, would have the mindset to put all these things together, because it was not the life that I had for myself. I was a girl from the hood. How could I possibly know these things in this world? because I was not of that world. And they really just like over and over and over again was just like, well, how do you know about this? And how is this something that you could even put two and two together and come up with four? But it wasn't about being in that world. It was just about being practical and smart and common sense, which obviously common sense is not common. And so that was something that I had to jump over hurdles again and again and again. And every time I turned around, it was like pushing through another wall because I was not given the opportunities because no one thought I could understand being in that type of life because it wasn't the life that I came from. We came from the hood. Like we come from the hood.
He said Jersey City.
Like, like I mean, we were in the hood where elevators smelled like somebody used it as their personal bathroom. Where
That
if you
part
had
of the hood.
two working elevators, it was indeed a good day.
Exactly.
Like you had to worry about those Halloweens where there might be razor blades and glass in your apples. It was like we came from that kind of hood life. It wasn't the mild hood life where there was possibly something, people were really snatching kids up in vans at the time. It was like we were in the hood. And so they were not giving us the chances that they would give other people. And they
So
really,
can I? Right. Go ahead,
they
Sonji.
really wanted us to fail. Now, school system was not the best either. We had to push through. And let me just add this one, sister, before you jump in. Our household was a household where education was the forefront. Like we read encyclopedias probably by the entire Britannica encyclopedia. We was in it by the time we were like 7 to 8 years old. So we knew stuff. Okay, sister, go ahead.
No, that's actually what I was going to say, that, in spite of where it is that you come from, education does give people an opportunity to excel and equalize, what is possible for individuals. And that's the one thing that, we try to instill in other individuals, that if you come with the foundation of education, then you have a chance to excel, because you're going to have those other variables that are there. You're going to have prejudice, you're going to have individuals that just don't like Black women. You're going to have all of those factors included when you're trying to succeed in life. However, what they cannot take away from you is what it is that you know. And that has been the saving grace. The other thing, and we do talk about this in Out of the Woods, is that we identify through metrics. See, when you know that you're producing, right? And that was the thing. When we figured out both independently, wait a minute, I've got a production metric that is comparable or even better than, with less opportunities than our counterparts. You're going to take me seriously. And so it's only when you come into the knowledge of self and when you come into recognizing that you have value that you move differently. I will be the first one to say that I received my CFP designation when I was 30 years old. I'm a World Trade Center survivor. And so those parameters shaped me, in terms of enduring trauma. So oftentimes I will walk into the room and there would be old white men when I was just going for something as simple as my CE credits. And when I was going in those rooms, they would come and ask me, was I lost? They would come and ask me, did I belong where it is that my ID said I belonged? And then, you learn things about the meeting before the meeting and the meeting after the meeting, and you weren't invited to those things. So we've had hurdles that we've had to overcome to compensate for those things. And so, it does start with the foundation of having a great education, which, even in spite of whatever school system that you may have gone through, we have the ability, just through reading alone, we have the ability to improve the standard in which, we set or establish for ourselves. And I think that's important. If there's a message that people can get, know that our education was really the reason why we can stand here today.
That's incredible. Very empowering story. What would you say is the most difficult situation you encountered, like racism?
Sanji, you want to go first?
I'm like, pick one. The most difficult. Whew. Well, I would have
Because I know mine. I know mine right off the bat. I
well,
know
no,
mine right off the bat. Go ahead.
I would say the one that I had, and probably the one that I wrote in the book about, probably for me, because it was very pivotal in coming from being a young minded individual to having to grow up really, really fast and understand that the industry just wasn't going to love me no matter how hard I worked. Was putting my blood, sweat, and tears into something that I really love to do. And then finding out that no matter how hard I worked, they were never going to give me credit for being a hardworking individual. And so then having that person come in and look for someone else just because I was Black,
Yeah.
that level of racism really ripped me apart. Like it took me years to really separate from that situation. And then to bring it back up in the book, I gotta say I probably still sting from that because I worked diligently to improve his lifestyle, his family's lifestyle, and others around. And I mean, he went on a campaign to pull other people away. And so it wasn't just one person. It was like a collective that did it. And it made me sit back and realize that it wasn't just him. Like it opened my eyes up because I think I was kind of living in a bubble because like my sister said, I got along with everybody. And so I didn't get attacked in ways that felt so personal to me. But that was so very personal. And it made me go forward in the rest of my career with my eyes wide open. He's probably the reason, and I thank you very much, even though I know he'll probably never see this because he don't like Black people. But if I should ever stumble across this, thank you very much because he's the person that charged me and or that ignited me. Let me use the right words. That ignited me into going into spaces like DE&I and making sure that there was equality in the workplace and other places. Like he really ignited that fire in my belly that was already in there, but he sparked it in a way that sent me going out guns blazing because I probably was doing it, and I was doing it since I was probably in Head Start, but I really think it lit the fire to a wildfire status after that because it changed who I was and how I saw how they engaged with us across the board and how doors were just being shut because of the color of our skin. So that one really burnt me big time.
So I mine happened recently, and you have so many stories, but this is one that I've incorporated into discussions moving forward. We both are public and empowerment speakers as well, and I am on the diversity advisory group for the CFP board. Overall, and so one of the things that they asked us to do for Black History Month in 2024, literally, was to talk about how CFP practitioners can reduce the wealth gap, the racial wealth gap. And so I did a video montage. It's actually on LinkedIn as to responding to that question. And a nondescript older white man decided that he had the authority to come on and chase in the CFP board without, having any feedback, saying that this is not the responsibility. And in the toxic arena now, where they are really trying to destroy DEI and take away Black history from the pages of what our experiences were. I responded to the individual saying that it's not an either or, but it's a both and. Black history is critical. Financial planners that look like me, can contribute into our community in a substantive way. And so to have allies and partners, to be able to do that. And so this man proceeded to attempt to come after me, except, I am probably not the one on my page to do something of that nature. Because here's the thing that I will tell you, Ryan, my income, my lifestyle, and I do believe it's a God design, is predicated upon my relationship with our culture, our community. And so if I don't ever get a white client, not that I am that I object to them, but they don't pay my bills. And so, I have the freedom of educating and empowering, which our life history shows that I've done that. So the only people that can cancel me is my culture and my community. So I proceeded to tell that individual that the reason why we need minority financial advisors and the support of places like the CFP board is because nondescript, uneducated white men with entitled privileges have the ability to come in with a C average with a basic college education and get opportunities that we are not privileged or afforded to have. And so when a black woman who is highly intelligent graduated, from wherever it is, and I graduated from BU, with the doctorate that must do 3 times the level of labor to get a minimum crumbs of opportunity, this is why it is necessary for people like us. And so, of course, he tried to go on a rally, and I said, and I'm done, drop mic, and then he walked away. The reason why these things are important is because you want to attack us as if we don't bring something credible to the table. And this is the thing, we bring credibility and intellect. If you look at the statistics, this is not a matter of opinion. You look at the statistics, Black women are the highest educated individuals in our community. We had to claw our way so that we, as doctors and pursuing masters and experts, subject matter experts in our field, we have to claw our way to get the same opportunity that a graduate from high school can get, or even a returning citizen, white male, can still do better than a Black educated woman who never spent a day behind bars. And so when you start dealing with insurance and investments and acquiring a level of success in these arenas that are highly compensated, vocational opportunities, we have to let other people know that yes, you may struggle trying to advance, but it is possible. Whether you go the entrepreneurial route like I did, or you pursue, the corporate route the way that Sanji has.
Wow, that's all very powerful. You all have a very powerful testimony. What would be your advice, to young people who want to have professional careers like yourself?
You want to take that, mentor?
My advice is to stay the course. I always say, and I'm a mentor by trade, so I have lots of advice about this. My advice is don't ever let anybody dictate what your story is. You are the beginning, the middle, and the end of your own story. What other people have to say about you is irrelevant. We are both God fearing women. Her being a pastor, me being a minister. And so I say, God writes your story for you. No one else does. What society has to say about it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter one bit because they're not the ones who have to live the life that you have to live. The choices that you make, the direction that you want to go, the talents that you have, it's not defined by what, as my sister so eloquently just said, nondescript other people, and I'm just going to put all of them in the same category, has to say about what it is that you want to do as a career. Your career choice is yours to make. And so I do believe that you need to have a level of understanding, knowledge, education, and talent to do a thing. So let's be very clear about that. But how you dictate what it is that you want to do going forward in your future is entirely up to you. And so, yes, of course, there's going to be roadblocks, especially if we look at the way culture and society is set up today. Every time we do something amazing and something great, they take that goalpost and they move it further. They want to make it more difficult for us. They want to enact more laws. They want to put more clauses. They want to make everything look harder for us. But you know what happens? We're people of resilience. We jump higher, we go faster, we move farther than any way and shape that they could ever imagine for us because we were built that way. We are fearfully, wonderfully created in God's likeness and image. And so, therefore, we're always going to do better, go higher, and be greater. So my advice is go be what it is that you want to be. Because with God on your side, there's no limit to what it is that you can do. And so don't look at the obstacles that are set before you. Take it to your father, that one, and see if that's his plan for your life. And then watch him make you brilliant. And I'm going to say that as a pivot so that she could say what it is that she's always said, because I've seen it come true because she has this expression that she says about how God makes us look brilliant in a thing.
Right. So the expression is when you operate in obedience, God makes you look brilliant. He guides and orders your steps, and I think that that's important. A good man's steps are ordered by the Lord. And the one thing that I will add to everything that Sanji has stated that I think is important is once you understand the plan that is designated for your life, recognize that it is critical for you to get all of the credentialing and the level of expertise to set you apart from everyone else. If this is the space that you belong in, then you ought to ensure that you have the credentials that go along with the experience. And see, that's where people cannot deny you opportunity and access after a while, because your fruit and your expertise will make will make you validated in that particular area. So I don't tell people for no reason at all that I'm series 763 65 life and health and a CFP practitioner for no reason at all, as well as Reverend Dr. Nicole B. Simpson, because I think people need to understand that you're not just getting 30 plus years of experience. There's a subject matter expert in there on two different levels. That CFP says so, and that doctor says so as well. And so when you cannot be denied that you have space here, I'm the same person that says I don't need anybody else's table. I carry a table, you can bring a chair. Because that's how amazing we are as a culture, but we are also contributors. And so we would tell our younger selves, and we have a chapter in the book that says that, lift as we climb. And I think that that's important. Like, I'm always looking for someone to help along the way, even though we are trailblazers and there's really nobody where we are trying to go. But we ensure that when we open up a door, we make sure that other people can go through the door that we ourselves have opened. No longer will we say, I got mine and you go get yours. That is just not a part of the makeup that we have. And so, yes, we are proud that our book, Out of the Woods, is about to be featured on NASDAQ Billboard, in second place in the Book Fest Awards. But here's the other thing. She has a book, Mentoring with Confidence, that is number one that she has won. My book, The Quiet Shift, has won 4 different awards as we lift, as we climb, encouraging and inspiring other individuals that the area of expertise and what we know that we have put it out there as roadmaps and blueprints for other individuals. Now, we didn't do this overnight. We didn't get here. I tell everybody it took us over 30 years to become an overnight success. But what we have done is we've lived a lifestyle of obedience, and God has shined a light on us. You know how they be like, shine a light on them? Oh, that's what he has been doing. He's been shining a light on us. And so I end with this. In 2023 alone and going into 2024, 2022, 23, 24. Both of us have been women to watch in our respective industries. Both of us have been top 100 in our respective industries. Both of us have been hot 100 in our respective industries. In Sonji's industry, the insurance, she graced the cover of her industry magazine twice in 1 year as a Black woman. I have been featured in my industry magazine on multiple occasions with a new feature coming out. And last year and this year, we have been on the billboards, and that was never even a thing. 2 chicks from the projects on the billboard, not only the New York Times billboard, the NASDAQ billboard, and we're about to do it again in 2024. What am I saying? When God is for you, who in the world would be foolish enough to be against you?
That's a mic drop, sis.
Okay.
Well, anything like that, Reverend Dr. Nicole B. Simpson, CFP, Sonji K, Grandy, the authors of Out the Woods. Could you give me, like, where people can reach out to you on social media if they wanted to get in contact with you? How would they go about doing that?
Yes, sis.
I'm so not on social media like that. You go first.
We're working on her being on social media, but everywhere that I go, Nicole B. Simpson, you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, Nicole B. Simpson, everywhere. I also have a website that's called NicoleBSimpson.com. If you're interested, and you can see the backbone, my business is HarvestWealthFinancialUSA.com. You can check us out there. You can check me out there. And
Yes.
if you connect with me, you can connect with her.
I do have a website. It's Sonji K Grandy, www.sonjikgrandy. You can find all my books there. I do have Facebook. I am on LinkedIn. And I am on TikTok, Sonji G. So I am really getting much better at this thing. I'm very personable. I really am. But when it comes to this whole, God help me. God help me. Like, I
We're
want to
working
just
on you.
embrace everybody in person. I'm really trying to do my best to get this social thing going on. But I love you all. I do.
Thank you. I really appreciate you for joining me. I have really found your story inspirational. I'd love to have you back in the future.
Thank you for having
Thank you
us,
so
Ryan.
much, Ryan. We
Appreciate it.
appreciate it. You have a most amazing day.
You too.